welcome to AI at Work. Today I want to talk about AI detectors. I've been having a lot of conversations lately about whether or not they work, and the short answer is they don't. Ironically, the better you're writing, the more likely you are to get flagged because AI detectors are looking for a particular type of structure, formal word choice, and so they get confused about whether or not it was written by humans. I did a test this week and 50% of the AI detectors told me that the Declaration of Independence was written by AI. On the other hand, humans are great at identifying AI copy. There are so many obvious tells: generic structure, word choices like game changer and dive into, or my pet peeve, it's not this, it's that. You might be tempted to try and fix this issue with a better prompt, and yes, that will help, but what you really need is a system for your writing. And so today I'm going to show you that system. It's a 3-step process, and you'll work through these in ChatGPT with a couple of samples of your writing. So let's get into it. Okay, so now we pop over to our chatbot of choice. I'm going to do this in ChatGPT today, but you could do the same exercise in Gemini or Copilot. And I'm going to pop in my prompt here. So what I'm asking ChatGPT to do is analyze some of my writing. And I'm keeping this prompt really simple. What I found is that the more complicated the prompt or the more that I ask for, it kind of gets carried away. And then the outputs on the other end, they're just not good. They don't sound like me. So this is a pretty simple prompt. I'm asking it to analyze a couple of documents. These will be samples of my best writing. And I want it to provide the assessment of tone, style, and voice, and then to give me what I'm calling a short blueprint. So these are instructions for my AI to follow my writing style later on. So I have my prompt in here. I'm going to grab my samples. I've just got a couple of my newsletter for this example. And then once those are loaded up, we'll let ChatGPT do its job. And I've chosen the thinking model for this exercise because I think of this as a more complex task. I want ChatGPT to take some time reading the documents, thinking about my brand, rather than just giving me a snap judgment. So here we go. I now have my assessment. I write like a pragmatic coach. I'm direct, confident, lightly witty. Well, that's nice. And reader first. I use the second person, short paragraphs, clear headings, punchy transitions, so on and so on and so on. So this is pretty good. And I think it does a decent job of summing up my writing style. Now that I have my blueprint, I'm going to create a project in ChatGPT. You could also create a custom GPT if you prefer that style, or if you're in Copilot, it would be an agent, and if you're in Gemini, it would be a gem. So for me, I love projects because they live over in my menu bar here, and I can have multiple conversations with them. So I've already set this up, and I'm calling it Writing Coach. And you can see here I've given it a cute little pen emoji, so it's pretty easy to spot. But what you do is when you're creating one of these for yourself, you'll go down to the menu, you can create a new project, you can name it, and then the most important step is the project settings, which you find in these 3 dots here. So you open your project settings and you come to the instructions, and I find this little feature handy. I can pull down so that I can look at this in a little bit more detail. And this is where you pop those in. I actually made a couple of edits to my instructions, and I also included this note here: systematically replace em dashes with a dot to start a new sentence, or a comma to continue the sentence. I found this is the only way to get ChatGPT to stop with the em dashes. And so I've included it in all of my instructions. One thing to note, I do have system-wide settings in ChatGPT, and I have a very long list of banned words and phrases in there that also carries over into this project. So I don't need to double up with those instructions. If you are interested in those banned words and phrases, let me know and I'll be happy to send them to you so you can add them into your system prompt as well. And then finally here you can see we can add our files. I have my 2 examples. I have the memory on as default, and then you just click out of that and away we go. And so now you can chat with this project, and the output that you get from this will be much closer to your writing style. You can see here I've already popped in a request. I've asked it to write a LinkedIn post based off an article I wrote using my new brand voice. And you can see it's done a pretty decent job. I like a lot of headings, bullet points. I want my copy to be scannable and easy to consume. I've given some advice and I've got a nice little quick checklist at the end. Now, of course, if you feel like this is off, you can go back into the settings in the project and you can make some tweaks until you're happy with the output. One thing to keep in mind when you're working with your AI project or a custom GPT is that this is never the final draft. You don't want to be distributing AI slop, as an example. So even though you've tuned the AI so that it sounds more like you, you always need to add in that human element. You need to give it your personal experience, provide more context, and then as a final step, make sure that you're reviewing and refining that final output so that you have a really nice polished piece of work that sounds just like you do. So hopefully you found this framework helpful and it does help speed up your writing process. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I post videos every week. And let me know in the comments how you found this whole process and if it's working for you. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.